Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So I've wanted to do this video for so long, so I'm super excited to share this with you guys. So today we're talking about the dietary laws, how to spot if your food is unlawful, and healthy tips and tricks. So let's get into it.
How long must the so-called black man suffer? Hate from the nations and hate from his brother. Another brother dead is another soul gone. I'm praying for the Lord to take us up and take us home.
Alright, so I'm super excited for this video because I feel like if you're new coming into the truth or you've been in the truth for a while, there's just so much information about the dietary laws, about how we're supposed to eat as Israelites, and all that jazz. Definitely excited to share this video with you guys today. So of course I have my laptop here. This is where I have like my outline and my notes and stuff like that. So I will be looking over just to kind of reference some things. So I'm going to reference scriptures and I'm going to have commentary, of course, some healthy tips and tricks that I use, things that I do with my family. So I hope you guys can get something from this video. In Deuteronomy, I'm sorry guys, I don't know why that word is a tongue twister for me, but I can never say it on the first try. It's embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing. Deuteronomy 14 verses 1 through 23 talks about the things that the Most High doesn't want us to eat. He talks about the things that he doesn't want us to consume. He basically says that we're a separate people. We're different from everyone else. And this is outlined in Deuteronomy 14 and 2.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth.
And then we get down to Deuteronomy 14 and 23.
And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God, in the place which he shall choose to his place his name there. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always.
You can deduce in these two verses that he's saying these are things that I require of you always, forever and always. And I say that just because when I do these videos, when I do my outline for these videos, I often use the who, what, when, where, why, and how, you know, the 5 W's and the H, to kind of answer the questions that I feel like are important to talk about in these videos. So if we're talking about the when portion, it's forever and always. This is what he wants us to do all the time. I also point that out because a lot of Christians say that because Yahweh died for our sins and there's things that we're open to eating now. I'm just gonna say no bueno. No, that's a no for me. Now let's talk about the why. Why does the Most High only want us to eat certain things, right? To consume certain things, to put certain foods and things into our body. The reason why is because we're a holy people. He doesn't want us to be unclean. He wants us to be set apart, different from other people. He wants us to be holy because he's holy, and we, of course, are made in his image. And this is talked about in Leviticus chapter 11, verses 43 through 45.
Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy.
So let's talk about the things that the Most High says that we can and we cannot eat. And I'm going to go over this in Leviticus 11 because that kind of just breaks everything down. So let's start with Leviticus chapter 11 verses 3 and 4.
Whosoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof. As the camel, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you.
So when we're talking about verses 3, the animals that we can eat, those are going to be cows, sheep, goat. Those are just some examples. And then when we're talking about verse 4, the things that we cannot eat, rabbit, hares. I know rabbit and hares seem like the same thing, but they're not. I think hares are bigger than rabbits, but they're in the same family, but we can't eat those. Camel, and of course, pig. No pork. No pork. No pork. And then we head down to verse 8 where it basically talks about how we can't even touch their flesh. So their dead flesh, their carcass, we can't touch that or we become unclean.
Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you.
But this might sound like a joke, but it kind of is, but it isn't. If your kids go to the zoo, they can pet the pig. It's okay. They can pet the pig. They can pet the camel. They can pet the rabbit. It's okay. It just means they're dead flesh. So their dead carcass we cannot touch. It will make us unclean. It's okay. They can pet the animals. It's fine. Now let's head down to verses 9 and 10.
These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas, and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
So when we're talking about verse 9, the animals of the water that we can eat, tilapia, salmon, tuna, trout, we can eat those, right? Because they have fins and scales. But then when we're talking about verse 10, the things that we can't eat, any type of shellfish, mussels, crab, lobster, shrimp, y'all know all the things that are in shells we can't eat. And then also fish, shark, swordfish, and the big one that if you're from the South, you love is catfish. We can't eat catfish because if I'm not mistaken, I think they don't have scales, but they have fins. So catfish is a no-no. All right, so let's talk about fowls. So fowls of the air, the birds that we cannot eat. This is outlined in verses 13 through 20. So examples of these birds are going to be the eagles, the vultures, the owls, the raven, geese, ducks, storks. Cannot eat those. We can eat chicken. We can eat quail. Those are just some birds that we can eat. Turkey. I know there's a huge debate within the Israelite community about whether we can eat chicken. I'm not mistaken. Me and my husband made a video about this. My husband made a video about this a while ago. So if you're interested in that video, I'll go ahead and put it right here. Here's what it looks like. Shameless plug. I'll go ahead and link it down below. So let's talk about the things that creep. Bugs that we can't eat. Believe it or not, we can eat bugs. If that's your thing. So we can eat locusts, beetles, grasshoppers. I want to talk again about not touching the animal's carcass. So that includes the fowls, that includes the beasts. So like cows and stuff like that. Fowls, which is like birds, bugs, all of their carcasses, just in general. We can't touch their carcass. So if they're dead, we cannot touch them. And this goes for the birds that we're not allowed to eat, not the birds that we can't eat. Obviously you can touch the carcass because you have to prepare the chicken, right? Or the food that you're about to eat. But the foods that we can't eat, we're not allowed to touch the carcass. And this is outlined in Leviticus verses 24 through 28 and also verses 31. So it basically says that we can't touch the carcass. And if we do, then we're unclean till even. So evening. Say you go to the grocery store, right? And I don't know about you, but my grocery store, the lamb is literally sitting right next to the pork. Why they do this, I don't know, but it drives me insane. But that's neither here nor there. Say you go to pick up a piece of lamb and you accidentally touch a piece of pork package. Say it's like ripped open and you actually touch the carcass. Then you would be unclean to the evening. So obviously you want to go wash your hands. You want to go wash your clothes. You want to anything that came in contact with it. You want to go wash that, and then you will be clean in the evening. When the sun is going down, evening time, then you're is new. You're refreshed, right? So that's basically what it's talking about in those verses. Also, in the rest of the chapter, it talks about the vessels. So, for example, so say you touch animal that you can't eat, you touch their carcass, and then you have to wash your clothes, and then you have to wash your clothes obviously in water. That body of water now is unclean. So it kind of goes into the details about that as well. The Bible has an answer for pretty much everything. I know a lot of people say that the Bible does not have an answer for a lot of the questions that we have today, but if you read and you look, the Bible has, I want to say, the answers to about 95% of the questions that you have. So it's very detailed of what we can and can't eat, how we are to cleanse ourselves, if this touches that, what you need to do with that. It goes through all of that, so fear not. And again, Deuteronomy chapter 14 verses 3 through 21 talks about the dietary laws as well. I wanted to kind of throw this in the video about vegans and vegetarians versus meat eaters, because this is a huge debate in the Israelite community, and I just want to kind of give my take on it. I'm going to start with a scripture. It is, I'm sure, very familiar to you. It's Genesis chapter 1 verse 29.
And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
And then I'm going to hop to one of my favorite verses, which is Colossians 2 and 16.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days.
So if you read Colossians is just pretty much about like moral character. I believe Paul is talking to the Colossians community, and he's talking about moral clarity, not straying away from your beliefs and things like that. But I love this verse because it goes to what I'm about to say. There are different ways to eat. I'm a person that believes that your diet is tailored to you. Some people can't eat certain things. I'm sure back in the day, like when we were in Israel, we could eat pretty much whatever was there because the diet was so clean. We just don't live in those times anymore. A lot of the food that we have is processed. It's GMO, bioengineered, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And then our bodies are just not built anymore because of the lack of nutrients that we're getting to withstand certain foods. Like for me, I can't do dairy, and I have to very much limit my grain intake. I'm having issues with my stomach if you guys have been following me on this channel. So there's things that my body for right now cannot tolerate. I just think that your diet is tailored to you and what works for you. So vegans, if they don't eat animal products, that's great. I'm all for that. If that works for you and that's a healthy diet for you, then go for it. If you're a vegetarian, so you eat some animal products, but your diet is mostly fruits, vegetables, and that type of thing, and you don't eat certain foods, I'm for that as well. If you're a meat eater or a fish eater, a pescatarian, whatever it is, as long as you're not breaking the dietary laws, as in eating pork and shellfish and things that we can't eat, I think that's fine. We are a group of people, right? But we're not all the same. What works for one won't work for the other. What works for me won't work for you. It may work for you, but it may not. So I don't think it's cool to kind of judge each other on how we choose to eat unless we're being super unhealthy. If your diet consists of Pop-Tarts, which we can't eat anyway, but if your diet consists of Oreos and highly processed foods, no fruits and vegetables, then of course, correction is love. So in a respectful way, like your heart being in the right place, you can say to someone, hey, that's probably not the best thing to be eating. That is great, right? That's the way to handle that. But to demonize someone for how they choose to eat, even though they're within the dietary laws, I think that's not cool. I don't think that's okay. I'm not going to judge you for being a vegan. If that works for you, I'm all for that. I eat tons of vegan products. When I go to the grocery store, that's what I gravitate towards. If it's like in a box, which I try to stay away from, but if it's in a box, I gravitate towards more vegan style products. But I do eat meat. I do eat eggs. I do eat a wide range of foods. And I just want to put this in here that let's not judge each other on how we eat. If we're eating the right foods that work for us, and we're staying within the dietary laws, it's okay. It's okay to be different. We're the same, but we're also different. We're the same people, but we're also different in different ways. So I just wanted to put that in here. We're all a community, and let's treat each other with respect. Have constructive criticism. Let's not judge each other for that type of stuff. I do acknowledge that the Most High did originally intend for us to just have probably herbs, plants, and things like that. That was to be our meat. I do acknowledge that. But at some point he changed his mind. And it's outlined there. So if he says it's okay, then it should be fine, guys. We shouldn't be like attacking each other for it. So I hope that you will consider my position on that. All right, so let's talk about how to read food packages. So this is just one of the things that boils my blood about the food industry, especially the American food industry. You have to learn how to like read packages and know what hidden sources of this and that is, because our food system is literally trying to kill you. And that is not an exaggeration. It is literally trying to kill you. And it's for the profit of America, for corporations who don't really care what they're putting into their foods, what they're feeding you in order to make a buck. And it's just as simple as that. And I would go even further in saying that it's to keep you mentally dim and to keep you where you're at, so you don't recognize the injustices and the things that are being done to you on a daily basis, so you can stay right where they want you to be. But that's another topic for another day. So let's talk about the hidden sources of pork in your food. We see that a lot. The main one we're going to talk about is gelatin. Gelatin is in a lot of things. It's going to be in your low-fat yogurts, wines. Now I know that wine is probably something that people do not think about when they head to get a nice bottle so they can relax in the evening. But wine has gelatin in it. They use the gelatin from certain animals, pigs, fish. So if you're vegan or vegetarian and you don't consume fish, they're using that as a refining agent. So at the very end, your wine is nice and clarified, it's clear, it doesn't have that cloudiness to it. If you've ever made wine from home, you know it has that cloudiness to it. They get rid of that by refining that. And when they refine it, they use either beef, sheep, or goat, but a lot of times it's pork and it's fish. So you definitely want to buy a vegan wine, either a kosher wine or a vegan wine. I do have a resource for you guys. It's called barnivore.com. You can go to that website. I'll go ahead and put it down in the description box below, and you can literally type in vegan wine, or you can find your favorite wine and find out if it's a vegan wine or not, or what they use to refine it, what exactly that they use. Some companies disclose, they don't, but honestly, I just go by vegan wines. I keep it simple and just buy the vegan wines. So if you didn't know that, now you know. Some other products that include gelatin that you may not realize is some sugary cereals, some cream cheese products, and some juices. So if you're drinking juice or you're feeding your kids those juices, just know that you have to check, because some of these juices, just like the wine, as a refining process, they do use gelatin. And a lot of times it's fish gelatin, but if you're vegan or vegetarian, obviously you don't want to do that. Make sure you go to the manufacturer's website. You can call the 1-800 number, customer service, and find out, but just make sure you're checking for those things. And obviously the things that gelatin are commonly used in: Jello, gummy bears, marshmallows, those type of things. They do have vegan alternatives for that. Marshmallows, Dandies is a really popular vegan marshmallow. If you must do marshmallows and you don't mind doing like the fluff, a lot of the fluff, they don't contain any gelatin in those, but yeah, most gummy bears, most marshmallows that are on the market do contain gelatin, so be on the lookout for that as well. And there are other names for gelatin. They may not be pork gelatin, but there are other names for them, so they could possibly be pork gelatin. So I'm going to read them right off the screen here. So there's hydrolyzed collagen, hydrolyzed animal protein, collagen hydrolysate, denatured collagen, and gelatina. When you're reading your labels, be on the lookout for those as well. And gelatin is also located in your personal care products. So shampoos, conditioners, makeup, medication. So if you go and you buy those gel capsules that have pain medications, I think some of the anti-bloating medications have those. Those are usually made with pig gelatin, so check those as well. Another one that is my pet peeve is sausage. So obviously I don't eat pork sausage, but when you go into the store, you see chicken sausage, you get excited, you're like, yes, yes, yes. A lot of those chicken sausages are in pork casings. So if you flip the back over and you read it, all the ingredients are great, and then you get down to the very last one, it says in a natural pork hog casing. Usually when it says collagen casing, that's fine, but still you want to double check. The next one is L-cysteine. This is common in like tortilla wrappers, cakes, wonton wrappers, things like that. L-cysteine is a dough conditioner, and a lot of times it's made from pig's hair, if I'm not mistaken, like hog's hair. Sometimes they use like bird feathers and stuff like that, but a lot of times it is derived from hog's hair. If they are kosher, they'll be labeled vegan if the wonton wrappers are vegan, but make sure you check that. And of course, lard. Lard is in a lot of refried beans and baked goods. Make sure you're checking those labels, because if lard is in the product, 9 out of 10 times it's from a pork source. All right, so let's talk about food labeling. So if you ever notice on your packages, you'll see maybe like a U or a D or a K, and they're usually in a circle. You'll see V and then it's in a circle. Those are what you call food labeling, and these indicate what type of certifications these products have. I often, if I'm in a store and I'm trying to get something that's in a box, I always look to see if it has that symbol, because I know right off bat whether I can have it or I cannot have it. I want to talk about some of them. So the first one is the U in the circle. That's going to mean Orthodox Union Kosher certification. So that just means that the food contains neither meat nor dairy. So if you see anything with the circle with the U in it, that means generally as Israelites we can eat it. It doesn't contain any meat, it doesn't contain any dairy, it's certified kosher so we can consume. So the next one you'll see is D, which just means dairy. This product contains dairy. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the product is kosher. It doesn't necessarily mean that we can eat the product. It just means that the product has dairy in it. So definitely, if you're picking up something that just has the D on it, you want to check and make sure that you can consume it. It doesn't have any other ingredients in there that indicate that it has something that does not line up with the dietary laws. So a lot of times you'll see K. Sometimes it will be in the circle, sometimes it won't, but it just means certified kosher. So anything that's certified kosher, obviously we can eat. If you see that, usually it is generally safe for Israelites to eat. And then sometimes you'll see two of the labels together. So you'll see the U in a circle and then you'll see D next to it. So that just means that it is Orthodox Union kosher certified, but it does contain dairy. And that can mean anything. I made a note on it, so I'm just gonna read it. So it can mean it's a kosher dairy product which contains a dairy ingredient or dairy derivative, or was made on equipment also used for making dairy products. So a kosher certified dairy product can also be without dairy ingredient. It just means that it was made on equipment that may have had dairy on it, but you look at the ingredients and it doesn't have any dairy in it, but it still is marked UD. That's usually why. It's because it was made on some kind of equipment that at some point had dairy on it. Sometimes you'll see KD, again, one of the doubles, kind of the same thing. It's kosher certified, we can eat it, but it does have dairy in it. So obviously if you don't consume dairy, you don't want to pick up something that says KD on it. And then we have vegan, that contains no animal products whatsoever, so that's generally safe for us to eat as well. And then sometimes you'll see Pareve. So Pareve is P-A-R-E-V-E, and you'll just see a P on the package, and that just means that the food package indicates that the item neither contains meat nor dairy, and that is usually safe for us to eat as well. So that pretty much covers the food labeling, and if you're in a rush and you can't read the labels, it's an easy way to kind of pick up something and know whether you can consume it or not. So now I want to share with you guys some of my healthy tips and tricks, my disclaimers with grocery shopping, food shopping in general. So the first one is going to be stay away from the middle aisles of the grocery stores. And the reason why I say this is because all the healthy food are located on the outskirts of the grocery aisles. So you have your produce, you have your meat, you have your bakery section, you have nuts and seeds and things like that. Those are usually located on the perimeter of the grocery store, and everything unhealthy that's not good for your body is usually located within the aisles. That's not everything, but most things. If you eat the foods that are located in those areas of the grocery store, it's generally safe. You don't have to deal with reading the labels and stuff like that, because obviously a bell pepper or an apple doesn't have a label on it. So that's just kind of why I say to kind of stay away from the middle aisles of the grocery store. Obviously, you will need to go there to get some stuff, but as a general rule, try to do most of your shopping on the outsides of the middle aisles of the grocery store. Next, stay away from GMO foods. These are genetically modified organisms. So that means that the food that you're eating is genetically modified. It's not in its purest form. It's some kind of weird concoction that the government has come up with that says that it's safe to eat. It's not an original product, right? It's genetically modified. So the genetics of, say, a banana, what it was originally, it's modified to something else, and you don't even know what that is. So try to stay away from those type of foods. Obviously, you're gonna eat something genetically modified because it's not labeled genetically modified. Just as a general rule, I would stay away from those foods. Also, if you read the back of some of these products, it says contains a bioengineered food product. That's another no-no. Bioengineered, that means that it was made in a lab. So I would stay away from that as much as possible. So just read your food labels, see what these things say, and if you see that it says something like that, I would stay away from it, because you're putting something into your body, you don't even know what it is. Like, what is a bioengineered? Well, I'll tell you what it says. At least one ingredient in the food contains DNA from a new gene. That just sounds crazy to me. So if you see that, just please try to stay away from it. Also, I would stay away from hybrid foods. I just think it's something weird about combining two species of something and making something else. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world, like if you eat a plum and an apricot mixed together, right? It's not the worst thing, but I'm not sure if that's like something that could be taboo. So if you can avoid that, I would say avoid it. I try to avoid it myself, but yeah, generally I would say kind of stay away from that kind of stuff. The next thing I would say is eat organic meats, grass-fed and grass-finished meats, and any organic or fresh fruits and vegetables. As a general rule, you can't go wrong with that. Make sure if you're gonna spend the extra money to do grass-fed, make sure it's also grass-finished, because what can happen is if you go buy a piece of beef from the grocery store, food manufacturers are allowed to say that it's grass-fed, even if they only fed it grass for a day, right? So if they at some point fed it grass, they can say it was grass-fed. But what we're looking for is grass-fed and grass-finished, because that means the entire life of the animal, they were fed grass. And these are the things that they try to do to get you to spend more money on products that are exactly the same as the horrible things that are in the middle aisles of the grocery store. And I want to talk about eating out, so fast food restaurants and things of that nature. Now, I think for the most part over the years, fast food chains have made an effort to take like the pork out of their buns and things of that nature, but these foods are just still not good. I've made it my mission for my family to pretty much never eat fast food again. If we want to eat something that's like out and we can go and grab it, and it's kind of fast food, convenience food, we'll order something from the deli or the hot food section of the grocery store, or we'll go to like a chain restaurant like Chili's or something like that, or we'll get takeout from a local mom and pop place. But McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, those places are just kind of like out of the question. One, these wrappers have like forever chemicals. I think they're called PFAS or something like that now. That stuff stays in your body forever pretty much. It's just not a good thing. And you just never know with fast food restaurants. They're always changing something up, introducing this, introducing that. So it's just a good idea to just kind of stay away from those places. The next thing I wanted to talk about, which I feel like is a real big thing, because Chinese food is literally on every corner in every neighborhood, because it's like part of the American diet at this point. Everyone loves Chinese food, but I want to definitely talk about Chinese food in this video, because a lot of times we order Chinese food and we're eating the Chinese food and it's great and stuff like that, but we don't realize that a lot of times what happens when you go to a Chinese restaurant, they use oyster sauce, and oysters we can't eat because it is a shellfish, and that is a top ingredient in Chinese food. And then you think you're gonna go there and you're gonna get something that you don't think has oyster sauce in it, but what you don't know is when you go to a Chinese restaurant, they have maybe 2 or 3 sauces, right? And they use those sauces in everything, in their fried rice, in their lo mein, in their chow fun, in their General Tao's chicken, in their sesame chicken, in their Hunan beef, their chicken and garlic. They use those same sauces. It's a pre-made mixed sauce, and the oyster sauce is already in there, so they can't take it out. Now, some Chinese restaurants, they do just make their fried rice with soy sauce. They don't use that pre-mixed sauce, but a lot of them do. So I would recommend, if you're gonna do Chinese food, to call and ask them exactly what they put in their food, just so you know that that oyster sauce is not getting into your food. A common ingredient also in Chinese food is fish sauce, but fish sauce tends to be okay just because fish sauce is usually made with anchovies, and anchovies is a fish that we can consume. The next thing I want to say is treat going out like you have a food allergy. So if you're gonna go out and get foods from somewhere, treat it like you have a food allergy. Usually if you have, like my daughter has a few food allergies, right? I have stuff that I can't eat. So when we go out, we usually pull up the menu to wherever we're gonna go, see what if they have the allergen menu, see what things are made out of, call the restaurant, see what they're making these foods with. And then that way, when you get to the restaurant, you're not sitting there trying to figure out what you want to eat. Kind of already have a general idea. So you have to treat the dietary laws as if like you have a food allergy. You have to do your due diligence to make sure that you're not consuming something that you're not supposed to be eating. So make sure you're doing that research before you go to the restaurant if you can, and make sure that you're not consuming these things that are forbidden in our diet. Also, if you don't have the time to do that, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask if this is in this or that is in that, right? People with allergies, they don't have a problem doing that. So if you have limitations on your diet, as we do, don't be afraid to do that. Fortunately and unfortunately, food is a social thing, right? So we go out, we eat, we drink, and if you're not doing that, you can feel kind of left out and not participating in the social aspect. But The way I look at it is I would rather sit there with a water or something to drink and have conversation and not consume something that I'm not supposed to eat, enjoy the experience, enjoy the time that I'm having with these people, rather than to consume something that I'm not supposed to be putting into my body and having to deal with the ramifications of that. So that's just my take on it. And as a mom who's busy, like there are times when I just don't want to cook, right? I'm exhausted, whatever the case may be. It's been a busy day. I have to run out and pick up something. That's just real life, right? I like to have a handful of places that I know are tried and true, right? Ride or die. Coincide with my dietary laws. They coincide with my diet. They coincide with healthier ingredients, things that are important to me. In your area, find 5 places that you can go that no matter what, you know that it works for your diet, right? It works for the dietary laws, that you can go anytime. You can say, okay, I don't want to think about it. I just want to go pick up something, and find places that you can just count on each and every single time. But I will also say, check food labels and restaurants and check back often, because a lot of times, especially with food manufacturers, they change their ingredients a lot. Don't notify you. They don't say there's a change in ingredients. So if there's a product that you've been buying a lot and it's just kind of the staple in your grocery list, still every now and again, once every few months, once a month, just check the ingredients list. Make sure nothing has changed in that product. Alrighty guys, that is the end of today's video. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you found something edifying from it and that you learned something. It was my pleasure to hang out with you guys. My name is Tish again. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload new content. And as always guys, I so appreciate you. Hey guys, so it's Tish from the future while I'm editing my video, and I just realized that it cut out at the very end. So I just wanted to make sure to thank you guys again, and I will see you guys in my next video. Shalom.
There's something really special happening in our midst. The Israelites are coming back and now we're getting fixed. Stand as a man, cause a man keep the laws. Remember who you are so the Lord can hear you call. Oppression maketh the wise man mad, right? A telltale sign that we need some act right. We lost cause we done took off our own guard and traded in our royalties for a gift card.